Before this video begins, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Also, be sure to check out my affiliate links down below so you can get discounts on different car mods and products. Alright, let's get into the drive. Hello and welcome. Today we are driving the 2022 Ford F-150 Lariat Lightning. I would like to thank Flood Ford Lincoln in Narragansett, Rhode Island for allowing me to both review and drive this truck. I did a full in-depth review recently on the channel, so make sure to check that out. I'll link it down below as well. But I'll do a really quick spec run through, and then overall we'll get right into the drive. So this is finished in black, and this has the extended range package. So this is a 4-wheel drive truck with seating for 5. And this does have an impressive roughly 580 horsepower and 775 pound-feet of torque out of an electric motor. And this does have a single-speed direct drive transmission. This is 4-wheel drive with 73 city, 60 highway, and 66 MPGe combined. This rides on 20-inch alloy wheels, and those are flatter than average for better aerodynamics, and those have 275 tires wrapped around them. This can tow up to 10,000 pounds, and has a payload of around 1,900 pounds. This has roll stability control, forward collision warning with avoidance, blind spot monitoring, lane departure alert with assist, and trailer sway control. The trims include Pro, XLT, Lariat, this model, and Platinum. This has independent rear suspension and a different chassis than the regular F-150. Alrighty, for the rest of the specs, make sure to check out the recent video of this F-150 Lightning. And now, we will take this beast out onto the road. Alrighty, so it does have a traditional shifter, which is nice. And a lot of great cameras around, so it has very high quality cameras, which is nice. So we'll pull ourselves into the drive mode area. This does have a 15-inch infotainment system with the brand new Sync 4 system. Sync 3 from Ford is always one of my favorites, so Sync 4 is already great. So this is a silent car, of course. There's a silent truck. There's going to be no startup sound, but it has 320 miles of range from this extended range battery versus the more typical standard battery, which is 230 miles of range. It does have a fully digital gauge cluster. Both the exterior and the interior are basically the same as a regular F-150. Just with some subtle changes. And I am very excited to drive this thing. Somewhere in the mid 4-second range is the 0 to 60 time, so we will test that out towards the middle of this video. But I'll be testing it in pretty normal driving as well, just to see how it feels. We're not going to go crazy with it, but we'll work up to it. We'll see what it feels like in normal slow driving, and then we will go a bit faster. It does have adjustable power pedals, which is nice. There's also a setting in here, it's called propulsion. You can turn propulsion on, which is really funny. So you can actually add noise to this motor if you want it to sound like a spaceship or something, somewhere inside the infotainment system, which is really cool. I saw that on Doug DeMuro's channel, so thank you to him for mentioning that. But we'll drive it in silent. So we're in normal mode. Obviously we're in some traffic, so we will be cautious. It does have blind spot monitoring. There's the mirror setting. So it does have some very nice mirrors. Very, very large, very nice. It does have auto hold, which is nice, and I believe regenerative braking to my knowledge. But auto hold is great. My foot is off the brake right now, and I'm just sitting here in traffic. For the 15-inch infotainment system, of course it's massive, and it does have a hard volume button, which is really nice in my opinion, because a lot of infotainment systems just use a very complex system. And for visibility, it's obviously amazing. It's a big truck. Brakes feel nice. Everything feels nice so far. Okay, yeah, it has some power. That was barely stabbing it. Wow. 775 pound-feet of torque out of this beast. Wow. Yeah, visibility is awesome, which is nice. And really, this is pretty similar to interiors of most F-150s, save this new infotainment system. So what Ford wanted to do, they introduced a whole range of these in the Ford F-150 Lightning range. So they started down around $40,000, which is pretty affordable. It only has 230 miles of range with the standard battery pack. But then the next trims of XLT and this Lariat, you can option up, like this one, for the extended range. This one sticker is about $80,000, and they top out closer to $95,000 if you go full options. But I think this is a very nice nice medium. And per Ford, most people have been buying the XLT and Lariat, topping like $60,000, $65,000. So that's a decent price for what this is. This is a really impressive truck. Wind noise is pretty good so far. It's a little more out of the side windows than it is from the front windshield or anything, but it's manageable. It's really not too bad. Brakes feel nice, so that's always welcome. For the interior itself, they use a lot of interesting materials. They use a fabric that's like a rubber fabric vinyl kind of mix. It's kind of similar to the old BMW i3 and that kind of funky interior, and I really like it. It's on the door panels, and it's also all along the dash. The ride's pretty good. Steering input is a bit light, but and then there's body roll. This is a truck. It's not going to be insane in that sense, but that's okay. Turning feels good. It's light and forgiving. Let's get into it a little bit. Wow. It's 40, wow. Yeah, let's come to a quick stop here and do a 0 to 60. We'll put it in sport. $60. Oh my goodness, this thing is beautiful. I love this. I've driven one electric car before. I drove a Hyundai Kona electric, and that was only front-wheel drive, so it was spinning the tires a lot. It really wasn't prepared to be a front-wheel drive vehicle. And that only had 201 horsepower, and roughly the similar amount of torque. But this has 580 roughly for horsepower and 775. Wow. That thing likes to throw you sideways when you floor it. My goodness. You really have to hold on to the steering wheel. Wow. I love this truck so far. And it's dead silent. You can't find too many electric cars yet that at least look mainstream. Most electric cars tend to be either really well hyped up. This is well hyped up, understandably. But a lot of them end up coming out looking more like concept cars and kind of funky, and they stand out a little too much for some people's liking. But this is very doable. But yeah, wind noise at least at 40 is like very, very, very quiet. There's almost zero tire noise, which is very welcome, because at 275 tires, they're not the widest, but they're way up there for the sizing right there. And yeah, it's welcoming and forgiving thus far. F-150 brethren. Let's check out the turning radius over here on this little side road. It's not going to be great, but I can show you the camera setup as well. So let's do a 3-point. Okay, yeah. Might take more like a 5-point. 360 camera is awesome, though. So that's very nice. Let's not go in the grass. I like the shifter, though. Versus a column shifter or a button shifter. It's very much better. Okay, yeah, that's like an 8-point turn. But, it's acceptable. It's a pretty large truck. 232 inches long. Roughly 80 inches wide without the mirrors included. And then it's about 79 inches tall. So, it's like a typical F-150. There's some tire skirt. Wow, and that's in normal mode. I don't know if I'm not in 4-wheel drive mode. I believe it probably has a 4-wheel drive auto, because I drove another powerful pickup truck. I drove the Ram 1500 TRX. That's, of course, powered by a Hellcat, 702 horsepower in that one, excuse me, and 650 pound-feet of torque. But that was so powerful that it didn't even have a 2-wheel drive mode. It only had 4-wheel drive auto. And from what I just heard, I'm pretty sure that was the front tires skipping a moment. So I think that this also runs that way. It only has 4 auto instead of having 2-wheel drive. Don't quote me on that, but that's my estimate. And I do see regenerative braking. So over there, you'll see some green pop up. My goodness, this is beautiful. Oh, wow. One of the weird perks about this, though, I don't understand this. It's not bad, it's just really different. It has an old-style antenna over on the right. Why wouldn't it be up on the roof in a condensed one? That's very odd. I don't know too many F-150s, to my knowledge, that have older antennas. I thought they all had the new by now. But that's okay. Obviously, it functions fine. Also inside of here is some cool stuff. It has Smart Hitch, so that can actually use, you can input or it can sense your trailer weight and specifications, and then adjust your range accordingly, because what Ford states is that this electric range will deteriorate and go down at the same rate of a gasoline engine, roughly. So it can actually adjust your range for you, so you're not getting false range and then like a giant drop. It can do the analysis and make sure you have an accurate one. It also has onboard scales, which I've never actually seen, which is really cool. So it's disabled as I'm moving, but the rear bed, a 5'7" bed, it actually has weight sensors back there. So I can check at any point any of the payload capacity currently. So the payload in here is about 1,900 pounds roughly for the capacity. And you can check that at any point. And here, it'll have a live scale and, of course, a live bar to see how much is taken up by that. So that's very cool to me. You have a locking diff in here, a locking rear diff, which is awesome. Great for off-roading. This has, I think, about 8.9 inches of ground clearance. So, and that's with side steps. So this has metal side steps. They're not power folding tuck-away ones, but they're very good. Really, there's almost no lightning badging on this. There's a bit on the rear side of the bed, on the sheet metal outside, and there's a small badge with the American flag and a lightning bolt on the rear tailgate. But there's really not too much mention that you're in a lightning. It has a very nice startup, though. It'll sync between this screen and then the infotainment with, you know, like a nice blue lightning bolt type of thing that runs across. A little body roll for days. It's expected. It's just an F-150. But not too many F-150s can do that. Okay, about 60 wind noise does pick up a good bit, though. It's not the quietest. Really almost no tire noise, though. I'm very happy by that. I like the speedometer in here. I like the whole digital setup Ford has going on right now. I drove the Ford Explorer ST. It had a very similar one. And, yeah, I like that layout. This does have a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel, so that's very nice in hand. Very simple layout, too, which I appreciate. These seats are leather. It does have both heated and ventilated or cooled seats up front, and it does have heated leather seats in the rear, which is nice. Keep in mind this is the $80,000 spec one in a Lariat, but it's not top trim, so it's pretty good. And then the visor is pretty good in here. It does pass the visor test, what a lot of car reviewers call it, so that means it covers the window effectively. Visibility is awesome, as expected. It's a big old F-150. And so far the ride's actually pretty pleasant. I've gone through a good number of bumps. It absorbs them pretty well. Not too much noise. It certainly doesn't hurl you around or throw you off your like, I don't know, line of driving. It's definitely not bad in that regard. And we're only in normal mode, 294 miles range now. And that's using a few sport mode pulls. So range seems to be pretty true and accurate to date. And this has about 573 miles on it currently. So we've driven about 5, and it's gone down about 7. And that includes some pulls. So far it's pretty true. And it does have lane keep assist and lane departure, so you can see green in there. Yeah, so now I'm green on both sides. So that's very nice to have right in front of you. I really do like this interior. It has a great many creature comforts, yet it has a very nice choice of materials between plastics and that like vinyl cloth type of look, and also a little bit of wood trim and chrome. I think they did a very nice job in here. It does have a full B&O audio system, which is very nice to have, of course, because in a big truck, you know, it's a very expensive truck. You want it to have some great stuff of that. Have a nice audio system, nice music experience. So B&O's obviously been in the game for a while. Very nice system. I think it's 19 speakers if you spec it the right way, which is very impressive. Yeah, so cruising along, it's very manageable. Although it's extremely torquey if you get into it, it's pretty much like driving a gas car. It's very easy to manipulate the gas pedal. Very, very nice. Easy to go gently, easy to go crazy, go fast. It's very, very good. This is the most powerful truck I've driven, I think, in terms of torque. Most powerful vehicle I've driven in terms of torque, because the TRX had 650. This has 775. That is an insane number. And that's in a Ford. This is pretty attainable to get that. Even in the, even in the base standard battery pack with 230 miles range, it still retains that torque of 775. It just has closer, I think, 430 horsepower versus the roughly 580 in here. Brakes feel great. See the regenerative braking, so that is good. Let's get in the left lane, just do a little bit of a pull, nothing too fast. Still tire spin at 35, oh my goodness. That had to hook right there, wow. This thing is beautiful. I'm not an electric car hater. I like them. I just, I was hoping they'd be more, affordable, and Ford is definitely hitting that market because the Rivian R1T is roughly 70 or 80,000, I think on the low end. The Hummer EV is impressive, but it's like 150 grand. The Tesla Cybertruck, we'll see if that ever comes out. And then the Silverado EV, I don't know the information on that, so that would be a closer competitor to this, at least on paper. But I'm not sure what their price point is going to be for the Silverado EV. That could be definitely interesting down the line. But yeah, just cruising in here, it's very comfortable. It's like it's a normal F-150. It has some subtle differences. It has a front trunk with about 14 cubic feet of space, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a frunk. No truck otherwise has a frunk, and besides maybe the Rivian. And that space is about like a small to mid-sized sedan has that type of trunk space. So this is very nice. So right up here, you can open that a lot of different ways. You can use a key fob or a button here or the infotainment system or, of course, a latch outside. And then in the bed, I'll show you a clip on screen now. It does have a pull-out step and a pull-out grab bar or like railing post to grab onto to step up there for shorter drivers or just anyone. You can't really jump into a rear tailgate too often. So yeah, it has a lot of great features. And on the outside, for the charge port, if you open that, it does, of course, have a typical charging port. It's on the front left of the vehicle here, but on the front right, it actually has a dummy port, just so it looks more symmetrical and it looks better in Ford's opinion. I kind of agree. I think it looks nice to have symmetry on this. And yeah, the exterior for the side profile looks just like an F-150. It's very good, very beefy. The rear does have a bit of a different look. It has going all the way across light bar for the brake lights, and it does have reverse lights way up on the tailgate up there, so that's very nice to have. And then additionally, it has like a nice 3D cutout in the rear fascia for the rear tail lights, so I think that looks pretty good. And overall, so far, I love driving this thing. This thing is so fun, but it's so dailyable. Really, with 320 miles of range, that's a pretty good range. And this is a truck. Very capable. You can carry a heck of a lot of people in this. Yeah, it's very capable. It's an electric F-150. I can't really say too much more. They knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, on this. It's a great feat of engineering. It does ride on a different chassis than the typical gas F-150 because of all the rearrangements due to the battery pack and motor being in a very different place. It does have a different one than the standard gas F-150. So that's very cool. But they also did retain the full-size spare tire, which Ford knew its pickup truck buyers definitely wanted to retain. They didn't want to let them down in that regard, of course, and they did it. They rearranged stuff, and they have a full-size spare tire right under the rear bed. So I think they really did well on this. I am having a lot of fun driving this truck. It's very powerful. Very nice, and obviously near top trim, very luxurious. Alrighty, that'll just about wrap up this video. Make sure to check out my full review currently out on the channel to get all the details and an in-depth look inside and outside discussing this F-150 Lightning. I'm very privileged to be able to drive this vehicle. Most people would only be doing, like at press levels, being able to drive this truck this early. It's only August 15th of 2022. So thank you, massive thank you, to Flood Ford Lincoln of Narragansett, Rhode Island. Their link is down below. Make sure to reach out to them for anything you need related to Ford. And yeah, thanks again. Many thanks to them for allowing me to drive and review this Ford F-150 Lightning. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.